This Mage deck was actually one of the first decks that I theory crafted when the cards were being revealed, and it was the second deck that I built after the expansion dropped. But I put it on the back burner because I didn't think very many other people would be experimenting with this guy, so I felt like I had time to play with some other things and then come back to him. But there are a lot of decks with this guy popping up. People are playing it in Hunter with Call of the Wild. There's a Priest deck that showed up recently that plays Mind Control. I actually played that deck from rank 5 to rank 2. Before switching to Big Priest to hit Legend, because I'm a scumbag. So I guess I better play him now before he fits too well into the meta. The basic idea with this deck is you play this guy, and your only two spells are Blizzard and Frost Nova, so at the end of every turn for up to 4 turns he just freezes your opponent's board. And you're playing a tempo deck, so you freeze all their stuff, you ignore their stuff, and then you hit them in the face. That's basically the goal. Now the downside is that we're playing a Mage deck and we're only allowed to play these 4 spells, so we don't get to play Frostbolts and Fireballs and Primordial Glyphs and all that good stuff. So we have to play a lot of minions, and obviously the default position from there is to just play this neutral package of really overpowered cards that basically goes in every deck if you want to make a decent tempo deck on ladder. But we've got some other interesting cards in the deck. I'm playing 2 copies of Mana Wyrm. I don't play that many spells, but my opponent doesn't know that, so they have to kill the Mana Wyrm. And a 1 mana 1/3 on its own is a pretty solid stat line. And of course, sometimes I do have to actually play the Frost Nova and the Blizzard from my hand if I draw them, where I can get the 8 mana 4/7 down. I'm playing 2 Ghastly Conjurers and 2 Water Elementals. They just seemed like really solid 4-drops, particularly if they get the Keleseth buff. And because I'm playing those, I'm using a Void Ripper as a filler card, because if you flip your Ghastly Conjurer, that's 4 burst damage, 3 out of the Water Elemental. Even this guy is pretty good to flip when you're pushing for damage. Works with Tar Creeper too. And it also has an interaction with Southsea Captain, so if you play the Captain, pull Patches, Patches is a 2/2, and then you play the Void Ripper to flip the Patches, and the Patches gets the 2/2 buff flipped, so he's a 2/2, and then he gets the Southsea Captain aura reapplied to him, so he's a 3/3. So that's a neat little thing that does show up sometimes. I'm also playing a copy of Spellbreaker, mostly because Void Lord is a pain in the ass. I don't have Fireballs or Frostbolts or anything like that in this deck, so I do have to get in minion damage. And sometimes if they just play a giant taunt, your freeze spells at the end of the turn with your 8-drop don't do anything to a taunt, because you still have to get through it. So Spellbreaker to push through Void Lord, basically. On a similar note, I'm playing an Argent Commander. Again, can't play Fireball or Frostbolt, so you need some kind of burn damage. And this guy's a pretty solid charger without being as all-in as Leroy, but maybe Leroy's better, or maybe just a second Spellbreaker's better so you can push through those taunts. And then at the top end, I've got Alexstrasza. Might seem kind of weird to be playing Alexstrasza in a fairly aggressive deck, but the idea is you play your 8-drop on 8, and then you're freezing their board for 4 turns, so you actually have a lot of time after that comes down. So you can just freeze their board, and then you can play Alex, hit them for 4, and then you freeze their board again, they still can't do anything, and then you can just kill them with Alex and your 4/7 next turn. But really all that matters is you put in this 8-drop, you put in all the freeze cards, and then you put in, 24 other minions to fill out the deck. Compared to the other decks that play this guy, I can't really justify playing Spiteful Summoner in my list, because Spiteful Summoner is at his best when it hits big things, obviously. If it hits Blizzard, that's pretty solid. But if it's hitting Frost Nova, that's kind of a bummer. You could maybe cut 1 Frost Nova, and then this guy hits a 6-drop 2 out of 3 times. Or you could even go, cut both Frost Novas, and you could play a Flame Strike or even a Greater Arcane Missiles. But those are a lot less reliable, and very often at the end of the turn, it's a pretty big deal if you're hitting Blizzard or Flame Strike. Blizzard can freeze out 10/10 Jade Golems and stuff, whereas Flame Strike is basically a whiff. So that's why for now I'm opting for the double Frost Nova, double Blizzard package. But there are a lot of different ways you can build this deck.
Jaina versus Uther. I will fight with honor.
You asked for it.
Mana Wyrm is definitely a keeper. Opt to play the Mana Wyrm here over the Bloodsail Corsair because the Bloodsail Corsair has a charge effect attached to it. Probably just go ahead and get that guy off the board. I guess I can hero power here instead of playing Corsair. I think that's better, actually. Let's see, if I get Corsair on the board here, I have a 1-2 and a 1-1. And then next turn I can hero power. If I just hero power here, I have a 1-2, and then next turn I can charge the 1-1 and hero power again. They're pretty similar, actually.
What to do? What to do?
There's some upside to this guy being played into a coined out weapon. Let's go for this, I guess. There's also the argument that getting the pirate on the board here is better if I just draw a playable 3-drop. But 2 of my playable 3-drops are Southsea Captains, and those also want me to keep the patches in my deck. He's gonna coin his secret here. That's interesting. I mean, that was the other part of the argument, where I just draw patches sometimes because I didn't pull it last turn. That was a 1 in 25. I'm not really that much about those 4% chances. Redemption. I guess this could still be Murloc Paladin, huh? And he coined out a redemption to keep that guy alive. So I think it's pretty likely he has some kind of Murloc synergy buff this turn. Therefore, I will trade with my Mana Worm. Okay, Direwolf Alpha. This guy's opener didn't seem that aggressive, so I guess I just didn't really think he was an aggro deck. But he's playing Direwolf Alpha. Direwolf Alpha's no joke. Water Elemental's pretty thick, though. I have the Blizzard for turn 6, and then the 8-mana 4/7 the turn, or 2 turns after that. So I just need to find a decent 5 and a decent 7. That is really, really bad. I'm just gonna throw some stuff on the board here, I guess. I guess just Captain. Throw a ping on that. I could have played the Corsair there, but then he could just trade into the Captain, and then the Direwolf could go into the Corsair anyway, and it's only as good as a ping. Okay. So I throw down Blizzard here. He does stuff next turn. I can use the Pirate to break his weapon. I can Frost Nova. That's going to leave me on 3 mana. If I pick up a playable 3-drop next turn, I'm really happy. But even if I don't, I just have the 8-mana 4/7 into the Alexstrasza, which is pretty strong. I think I do have to Frost Nova here, though. He's threatening, how much is this? 8, 12 damage. Juggler threatens more. I have seen 1 Blessing of Kings, but I'm pretty scared. I don't really see much of a reason to play around here. I guess the question is, do I ping his 6/2? Pinging his 6/2 is irrelevant if I hit Blizzard next turn, but I guess I'm usually playing Alexstrasza on 9 anyway, right? And if I'm playing Alexstrasza on 9, then the ping face is always irrelevant. So I'll just do this. This is better if I hit Frost Nova next turn instead of Blizzard.
Reporting for duty.
Damn you, Knife Juggler. Face. Knife Juggler's OP. Oh, this is an easy play here, hoping for Blizzard. The Frost Nova is a bit of a bummer, honestly. It means I'm not going to be able to push 4 damage with this guy next turn after I Alex him. Or maybe I just don't Alex. Could play Scalebane Hero Power. I mean, the Hero Power doesn't actually do anything. But the Scalebane puts me up to, what, 12 power on board? On its own, that doesn't set up lethal with Alexstrasza. But I have 3 and 4 drops in my deck that could set up lethal through that. No play. Okay, so if I go for Scalebane, Hero Power, or Scalebane Tar Creeper, I guess, that only sets up 13 damage with the Alexstrasza follow-up, which is not lethal. If I just Alex here, his board's getting wiped. I have 12 on the board with an Argent Commander in hand, so I guess that's just the play.
I bring life.
I try this.
I believe I've also seen both Righteous Protectors now. I'm not sure if that deck plays any other taunt. He would have played Tyrion last turn if he had it, right? See what he hits. Wow, only 2/2 left. Oh no, just the Knife Juggler animation messed it up.
Reporting for duty.
3 mana to stay alive. Nice. Wow, this worked perfectly. I couldn't have asked for a better game.
Jaina versus Thrall. For Doomhammer.
You asked for it.
Okay, all these cards cost way too much mana. Not keeping any of that garbage. Mana Worm, that's what I like to see. The worm is also quite nice. So this guy's playing Shaman. I don't think Shaman's considered very good now. At least not considered very interesting. Other things that aren't very good include my hand. Jeez, this hand is awful. Corridor Creeper's getting cheaper though. Am I tempoing out a Spellbreaker? I kind of feel like he might be a control shaman. The kind of deck that might be playing like Earth Elementals and Ancestral Knowledge and that kind of stuff. Or Ancestral Spirit, rather. And Spellbreaker could be pretty good against that kind of deck. It is the only silence I play, so maybe I should hold on to it. That's the line of thinking, at least.
Join the guild. We have
Okay, probably a 4-mana 7/7. Okay, that actually tells me quite a bit about his deck. Should I silence that? Probably. Yeah, I'm gonna silence that. And then I'll go ahead and pull Patches. And I'll trade off Patches to protect the Mana Worm.
This document looks legally binding.
Okay. So it looks like I can play Scalebane Creeper here. All of my Keleseth plays are kinda awkward, so Keleseth is probably not worth playing. That is by far the worst buff, for obvious reasons. As long as something survives for the Bone Mare, though, I think I'm pretty happy.
I wonder.
Volcano. Okay, so I guess the target for the Scalebane buff didn't really matter. Unfortunately, I don't have anything that can be Bone Mared here. So just going for this line of play, I guess. Also, unfortunately, as a control shaman, he's probably going to have an answer to my 8 mana 4/7 when I play it. He healed his boy. Okay. I think I do have to play the 8 mana 4/7 though. If he doesn't have the Hex, or whatever hard removal he's playing, could be the new Crushing Hand thing. If he doesn't have one of those, then this guy's going to put in a lot of work.
What to do? My life is your secret.
Could still have Crushing Hand. Nope. Okay. That's still pretty annoying. But I do get to land a Bone Mare here if I'd like. The alternative is playing these two guys. They do have a lot of stats since they are Keleseth buffed.
What to do?
Bone Mare lets me punch through half of the White Eyes this turn, but then it just makes them more likely to draw a 5 mana 10/10. That's not great. I'm just gonna play these things, I think. I could use the 4/7 to get through the front half of that, but I really don't want the 4/7 dying to like a lightning storm or maybe a jade lightning or something like that. I want to keep him at 7 health since he didn't get hexed. Karen Bloodhoof. So what that tells me is he still doesn't have an answer to my guy. And that's pretty nice. So probably gonna bone marrow this guy up, play a worm. This sits in here. Kelisa fits in there. And we hit him for 9. Maybe I should have held back on the worm. I have a lot of stuff on the board. I don't think holding back on the bone marrow was an option, but holding back on the worm was probably the play.
That's incredible.
Also, the board is way too big for Volcano to be an answer, so it would have to be Volcano paired with some other AoE.
I wonder.
I think the Shaman AoE is actually not very good here. He needs like 2 lightning storms for this to actually be good.
I wonder.
I didn't do the math to see if this is actually a clear. I need to draw a playable card here. One of my 4 drops, ideally. That is not quite playable. Well, I think I just have to Blizzard and hope for the best. I could trade this guy off, it would let me play the worm. But I think I'm just gonna do this. This sets up for Bone Mare and Argent Commander to be lethal. If I don't kill him next turn, I'm probably dead. Yeah, I don't think I can beat Healing Rain. Another one of these guys, huh? Well, this one's a 5/8. Do I have to try to beat him on board now? Can I even do that? Ping the 7/7. That way if it trades into my 5/8, I have another hero power to clean it up.
Onward, friends, to adventure.
Yep, that's gonna lock it up. Man, I passed. Like, I played the Mana Worm on turn 1, and then I just didn't have another play until, like, turn 5, I think. There's definitely no way for me to recover from this, though. Yeah, I'm just gonna give it up.
Jaina versus Rexar.
Let the hunt begin.
You asked for it.
Tar Creeper is almost a keep, but not quite, I don't think. Now this Creeper, this one's a keeper. Hit him with the Superior Alley Cat. Definitely not looking for the 8 mana card this early. Well, if he's smacking into that guy, tells me this probably isn't a wandering monster. I'm just gonna tempo out the 3/3. It doesn't really do anything, but it is a 3/3. Alright, looks like my 3/3 is gonna get in there. Get my 2/6 in play. The mirror image will be pretty good against the second half of his Eaglehorn Bow, I guess. Okay, this explains a lot. Okay, just kidding, that actually doesn't explain very much at all. I was really expecting that to be a Yashiraj. I'm just gonna play all this stuff. Oh, I maybe just triggered a cat trick. Yeah, I should have considered just not triggering the cat trick there. But this gives more stuff on the board to die for my Corridor Creeper. And if he pops this 1/1, which he's obviously going to, then my Blizzard gets a lot of value. Good job, Mirror Image. I mean, I Blizzard this for sure, right? Is there any reason to play this first? Snipe is the only one that activates when I play it. I guess I'm checking for freezing trap, explosive trap, that kind of stuff. It's freezing. That was still a really good Barnes. His 4-drop forced me to Blizzard. Sure. This seems like the kind of deck that the 8 mana 4/7 is going to do really well against. Sure. If I play a Mirror Image here, it soaks 4 damage, which is actually quite a lot of his damage. And then he's going to have to trade this 5/4 in here. Well, I guess not necessarily. I guess he could use like these on the O2s. But the point is, if he did have to trade this in, it would kind of negate the Death Rattle, but I don't really care about the Death Rattle in this, actually, because of this guy. In fact, him having a full board, given that I'm probably hitting Frost Nova, is probably good for me, actually. But anyway, I'm just going to play this. And I'm not going to play the Mirror Image, because if he wants to trade stuff in here, that's fine. Man, this guy's deck. I guess if I hit Blizzard here, he actually gets 6 1/1s to trade into my guy. Maybe I should just go for double 4-drop. Let's go for a double 4-drop kind of play. Yep, that was the obvious 8 mana card he would be playing. That's another obvious 8 mana card. So I'm really hoping for Frost Nova here, rather than Blizzard. Wonder if I ever play the 0/2s instead of the 1/2. The 1/2 hits his weapon. The 0/2s protect from another charging Devilsaur. I think I like the 0/2s better. In the case where I hit Blizzard here. The Pirate didn't set up lethal, so I think I like this. It's got another bow, okay. Bone Mare. I could try to Bone Mare lethal him here, but I think that's freezing trap pretty often. I don't have any way to check, and it seems fine to just leave this guy on the board to freeze him for another turn. If it is freezing trap, I can just replay it for 10. Say I hit Blizzard, he can weapon and then play a charger, or like a play dead into a charger.
What to do? What to do?
Okay. The other consideration was if it wasn't freezing trap, and the attack just went through and I set him to 3, I could usually just get there by hero powering him. Cool, I landed Frost Nova again, so he still has no board space. And this time Bone Mare will be lethal since both of his freeze traps are gone. Could still be Wandering Monster, I guess. Would Wandering Monster have triggered there? I'm always so confused on secret interactions. I think this kills him though. Yep. Nice.